as you guys send them out and stuff. But I want to make sure I answer some of these questions here. So let's go to GJ. Let's delete some of the stuff we have on here. Once it loads, there we go. Make this a little smaller. Put it on this side. All right, sweet. So GJ. Yeah, so we've been expecting a big move down because of how bullish it was. Let's go to a monthly. Kind of like GU, right? Ran lows and continuing higher. Again, testing some kind of supply zones up here, but very ugly ones, right? If anything, it might be actually making its way up into this supply zone. That's probably what I've been aiming for. And then if it is to continue bullish, it's going to come and start making its way up for the imbalances up here and all the inefficient price action in these zones. Oh, by the way, here's a great example of the thing I just spoke about, right? Hidden supply zone, wick to wick. Notice where this came to test it, right? So if you had been looking at this back in the day, you would have missed this. But if you had been looking at the larger time frame, fractal distribution of whatever this might have been, there's your perfect entry off there. And that also might be an area that it might be heading towards at the 50%, right? Where we might see more mitigation, right? So that's how you can anticipate. Overall in GJ, definitely like just kind of ugly on monthly, nothing really to look at. These monthly pushes came from the areas here. However, as you notice, a lot of them got filled. So if anything, we'd be looking at the ment block in this case, right? Which would be this whole area. We could drag that out if we wanted to, and you'll see how that perfectly lines up with this imbalance inside of here as well. So not crazy to expect, again, the retracement into this zone before the higher prices are met, or the continuations higher, and eventually to see that retracement into there, right? Let's go to weekly, take a little look at that. Weekly, still generally bullish. It's coming to test. It might be distributing, right? So as you can see, we might have some stopping action. Maybe it begins to do something of this nature, right? That's fully fine to anticipate. On top of that, we're just inside of this demand zone. So there's going to be accumulations that happen in here, and you can be still part of those, even though they might not be perfect. I don't like how collapsed this is of price action, right? There's no movement to go upwards or downwards. In this case, there's more movement to go downwards, actually, to start filling in all these inefficiencies. Like, it's hard to look at a market kind of like this. Like, it's almost the same as GU, right? Where it's just, well, how do you measure this? And this will happen, but you know, it doesn't mean that you can't trade it, because lower time frames are going to be much more helpful to you. Now, if we do see buys from here, right, we can already now start to finally see nice areas to look for buys from. You can see how perfectly that tapped. If we do start to see these break, we can start looking for prices to make ways up into the imbalances, the hidden supply zones, and at the largest, the supply zones up here, right? So buys in this area are fine, especially if Wyckoff's happening. Let's actually take a look at it if it is, right? Very, very ugly, but we did take the lows here, and we are shifting bullish, which means that if prices are to go higher, I'd be looking for lower time frame confirmation Wyckoffs in here. And if we do get those lower time frame confirmations, right, price comes down, lower time frame confirmations, I like the entries here to continue this move, right? And again, this move doesn't have to go all the way up. All it has to do is fulfill some level of liquidity to be filled. Overall, those buys are really nice. Again, price can break down even lower because, remember, a schematic's not validated until like literally up here, but that does not mean we can't be a part of it by seeing other schematics within it, right? So we confirm schematics before they even get validated or happen, but we're not confused by price action when, for instance, it comes and does this and then does something like this, right? Because that's all part of the idea that prices are delivered to us in a number of ways. But it has mitigated this area as of now, right? On that higher time frame. So that's cool. And this is the area I'd be looking for buys from. And as you can see, we do have some top lane potential, but this might just become a redistribution. So we have to look out for that. If we do get involved for buys here, that could just do this, or it can come and do this, right? So same thing kind of holds. GJ, just like GU, just like EU, relatively bearish, but looking for the bullish plays into the bearish ones, right? Line up with everybody. Everyone okay on that, GJ? Take a look down here. I trade POI over Wyckoff. Is Wyckoff irrelevant if it's not at a POI? For me, yeah. Where do you set SL when entering MB? Below the MB. Sweet, I got a similar bias. Okay, cool. That's really good to hear. Again, like if any of you are super bearish on this, looking for bearish plays from here, that's also fine, right? Even I would say that's actually fine for a counter trend, because if you think about it, we could see the bearish plays from here, into up there, right? So if we do see Wyckoff in here on a, you know, use your rule of 30 if you want to be really sure about this, right? So 4 hours is what is that, 240 minutes, so an 8-minute chart. So go jump on an 8-minute chart, watch the price action in here, and if you do see wyckoff of some sort, which I guess is kind of happening, but it hasn't really come into the area. It just tapped it. You could begin to look for the sells lower, right? For scalping, what time frame POI would you look at? We don't scalp. It just doesn't happen. There is no such thing as scalping or swing trading or anything like that. It's just, we're just trading zones and we're trading price action. We don't really scalp. The only time you scalp is when you enter a POI with a certain amount of confirmation and you end up partialing, or you close your entire position at a certain structure and then you get like stopped out if price doesn't want to continue. That's the only time you really scalp in this market. There's no such thing as scalping. The free mass education makes it look like there is. There really isn't. Unless you're literally on a lower time frame, just kind of, looking at structure, taking buys to scalp into new structure. That's the only type of scalping you'd be doing. And in that case, you can look at it on any time frame. Okay. So hopefully that makes some sense. Same look on GJ. Very nice. Yeah. So GJ is pretty much that. Overall, I just want to see it. So, I mean, you can see that it is undergoing some kind of distribution, just a really ugly one. This price action is just absolutely terrible, but it is evening out. It is undergoing that distribution. And if anything, it's just, the thing is, it's closed market. Open a market could literally just go poop, right? And then it's just, oh shit, which is why I'd wait for either that to happen or wait for one more wyckoff confirmation in here if you want it for those sells, right? Or risk sells off. This is fine from a perspective base, not a financial advisor place, because as you can see, structure is beginning to shift lower. Structure is beginning to take out some relative some highs that remained, and even though this might be just a liquidity grab that continues higher, this is still a prerogative for sells, right? So hopefully that made some sense. Let's go back up here, see what else we got. GA. Okay, so I said that was going to be the last one we looked at. Maybe I'll look at another one if we have a little bit of time. We're just like at about an hour, so I want to make sure we get through some questions. Next level chart colors. Okay, so we went through that stuff. Very nice. Hello, what about GJ? I have this, but I don't know what I am doing. Okay, nice. So this is your GJ. It's a 1 hour looking for it. So I also just said, yeah, we can look for sells from here. I like that the sells from there are fine, but be cognizant of the fact this is still liquidity, and we could easily just go break in all this shit just to come and fill all these inefficiencies, right? So keep that in mind, but fine expectation. Overall, looking for those buys. I think I am too. Let's go to look at the hour. Yep, same zone, same thing. Very nice. That demand zone, relatively nice. You can refine it to this one. Other than that, just be cognizant of the fact that not everything got filled here. So again, we don't, just because this doesn't hold does not mean we're wrong. It just means we might be coming for a deeper mitigation here, right? And for some of you that are ready to switch that fully bearish, you might already take these sells, just keep holding them for that bearish play, right? All we care about is the footprints being created and seeing that transfer. And if we don't see it, we don't have to be involved. So that's your GJ. That's cool. I agree with everything above. Fantastic. GA, we will maybe look at that. Give me a second. All right, so Danny, could you touch on entries a little bit? I feel like I'm refining too much sometimes, and when I do, I either miss a trade or get liquidated. It's not all the time, but when it happens, it sucks. So the first thing that I would say about that is in the backtesting video, which you probably have seen by now, right? What did I do? I looked for wyckoff to occur, and when it occurred, I split positions on the multiple areas, right? And when they fully didn't hold, then we accepted it and we didn't look for extra. We just continued to wait for our bias to be instilled and to see that transfer. And if that transfer did want to hold, then we were able to be a participant on it, right? But you never know, right? We've said this over and over again. You never know what POI wants to actually hold. If you have problems with taking a POI before a deeper POI, like for instance, in this case, right, I'd be fine with looking at this for buys and this for buys, right? Because I understand what I want to look for in these zones and I understand how I'm going to partial them, right, along the way. If you're scared of doing stuff like that, or if you don't know how to do it exactly, delete it and look for the deepest one. And if the deepest one doesn't hold, then fantastic, right? So you can either choose to go the route of being the most safe, which means you're going to more likely than not miss a lot of opportunities, right? Because price does not always come into extremely discounted or premium price, because it can't. It can't always do that. And if it did, everyone would be able to do it. So you can either, I mean, like, I know some people that only look at the extreme points, and that means that they stay out a lot of the time. They maybe won't even catch stuff in a week or 2 weeks, right? But when they do catch shit, either they take the -1 really quick, or they hit their +70s, +80s, because they just take those zones and that's it. So that's that. For entry specifically, you have to test. Watch through all the webinars. I forgot which one I went over it in, but I showed how you can go to any market, go back in time anywhere, find a POI, go lower on that time frame POI, and look at the price action in there, find the Wyckoff, label it for yourself, and ask yourself the question, how could I have gotten involved on this play? And if that answer can be applied to multiple entries or multiple areas that you look at, then you know that you more likely than not have a system that can work and hold. And then once you have that, forward test it, back test it, record it, journal it, and then look to do whatever you want with it, right? On a live basis. And again, it's all perspective based, but that's how I would go about that. Because as you know, like, even though I teach you guys the entry criteria that I have versus some of the other great traders here are very, very different. And they'll enter sells into my buys. I'll enter buys when they're selling, and nonetheless, we can both somehow be fine on it, be profitable on it, because we understand our own edges in the market, right? Entries are, I guess I can't figure out a rule-based entry for myself. Okay, and also for that, then check out the other course materials. Work through some of this stuff because there's some gold stuff in here. I dropped it from a long time ago. There's some great videos in here of people that break down trades that they enter with criteria that you can write down. There's other criteria. There's more criteria. There's other videos of criteria. There's PDFs of criteria, like a trading plan right here. I actually went over this in one of the... Oh my god, this is so annoying. Okay, I can't download stuff now because I broke my PC. But there's people that have literally written out their own rules that might be different from mine that work. Look at them, test them, see how they work in the past, and then forward test them, right? Another thing right quick to add to that, I feel like sometimes my zones are either way too big or way too small, trying to figure out how to fix that too. Use the rule of 30. If your zone is too big, it might mean that you're basically watching for confirmation on it on a too low of a time frame, right? Like this 1 hour zone isn't that big, right? If you confirm this 1 hour, right? So that's 60 minutes divided by 30 is, shit, I'm actually dumb right now, is 2, right? So 2 minutes. On a 2 minute, this still might look a little bit big, but if you go into 30 seconds on this, it's gonna look huge, right? The size of the zone will depend a lot on what time frame you're using to confirm it, right? Or refine them, right? So if you don't like how big this 1 hour zone is, you can go ahead and just say, okay, fuck it. I'm going to use this. And if this is to get invalidated, I will not use the buy here. So if prices do come in and do this, I will not trade it. But if prices come in on this tinier zone and give you what you need to see to be involved, then you're good to go, right? Partial and continuations, whatever it might be along those lines, okay? So hopefully that helps a little bit. Top down to you, we looked at that. That's nice. That's nice. I have a problem with where the price will retrace to, how deep it will retrace. Watch the videos. You have a problem with where price will retrace to. Well, I mean, in this case, we don't know if price wants to retrace here. But what we can do is anticipate that. And as a result of the anticipation, we're able to catch counter trend, technically, sells into those zones. I mean, we don't use fibs or anything like that. We use zones. We understand that inefficiencies need to be filled over time. And we enact a bias based on the fact that these zones have to be filled, right? So, I don't know. That's the best thing I can say about that, Piotr. Definitely just try to... I don't know if you've seen all the content available in the private, but do make sure to watch it because we look at stuff like this day in, day out, week in, week out, about how to expect these retracements and stuff like that. And that just because we expect a retracement does not mean a retracement has to occur. Always remember that. This is trading. It's never 100%. I'd like to know what price formations make up the terminology you guys use. I'm fairly new here, please. And thank you as in mentfx blocks and stop break. What price formations make up the terminology you guys use? Well, terminology is all based on the 3 sections. So watch the 3 sections, read the terminology section, and after you've seen every single section and the webinars prior to this, then ask about which ones exactly you're concerned about. Because mentfx blocks we cover in depth in section 1, section 2, and multiple webinars, including this one a little bit where we touched on it, right? So we saw GJ. We take a quick look at this photo. This is GA. Oh, I haven't looked at GA, so I'll have to look at it later. But just off of your picture, You have a BC, AR, ST, UT, UTAD. You have these breakdowns. Looking for it to make its way back up into here. That's fine. So this is some kind of sign of weakness. You're looking for those buys from an area that has a little bit of an imbalance, a little sell to buy. It didn't tap into it, which I don't like, right? So this is now something that's up to you if you're happy with this or not, right? Because if my area doesn't get tapped and something happens, it's a little bit unless I had that area drawn out. You're looking at this as a accumulation, the break, and then you're looking at this zone right here as a potential move back into. That's a 4 hour. So again, yeah, it's fine because you're seeing these breaks higher and there's still areas higher that it can meet. So confirm these, and I think you're good to go on that, to then start looking for those lower prices if that's what you're looking for. And if GA moves anything like GJ, makes a lot of sense because on GJ, again, we're looking for those buys into the sells, right? Overall, it seems like. UJ, we'll take a look at UJ another time, but more likely than not with EU and GU, more likely than not going lower, UJ is probably on the bullish side. Take a look at that though, after this or something, or if we have a little bit of time. Accumulation on the 5 minute. Oh, so this is what you highlighted. Okay, so this type of price action, I fucking hate. You might have to look at this on a 15 minute and it might look better, but I mean, this is fine for the concepts holding with, liquidity being created and liquidated, but it's just too long for me. I don't like the type of thing. Instead, I'd be focusing on something like this, right? And here you can still see there was an accumulation that actually kind of worked. I guess it didn't come for a deeper test. Selling climax, AR, ST, SOS, STB, no break yet, kind of a break, and then it never really came back in here. So if this would be a perfect entry had this came right back into it, right? But again, prices will not always move the same way. Prices will not always come to mitigate these zones. And I wouldn't, me myself, because I haven't tested this way of trading, if you have, then fantastic, would not set any limit here or here for this retracement, right? But the expectation is fine. I like the expectation that you have, especially with the higher time frame distribution. Anthony, how many pairs do you trade? Just one? Yes, sir. Always one. We don't correlate. We know this. Perfect. Thank you. Fantastic. Explaining the X's. Okay, so now we can continue a little lower. Tyler, go to the course content section Discord. Yeah, so exactly. Make sure you check out some of that stuff. And here are the terminologies. Demand zone, supply zone. So those are any zones that are unmitigated. mentfx blocks. We touched on those in all the course content. SC or BC. All the Wyckoff stuff is covered in section 3. And breaks to structure are part of everything that we do, which is breaks, and we talk about those as well in even section 1. Appreciate this, fantastic, good stuff. Lower time frame. Okay, so we're just kind of going back and forth on this. We got our meme of the week. Let's check this out. I don't know if you saw, but I posted some of them to Instagram because I like them. Hard to swallow pills. If you want to curse the FX market, you have to stop trading retail and do it the mentfx way. Very nice. This one's going right on Instagram. How do I save this? How do I do this? There we go. There we go. Fantastic. Thank you for that. Millions as fuck, yeah. Michael, he market moves and ranges between one outer liquidations, inner mitigations. That understanding can formulate an entire expectation and price from the highest to the lowest time frame. Exactly. Very well said, Piotr. I actually started speaking about that a little bit in section 4, right? Understanding that just a 1 month, 6 month, or 1 year chart, taking a look at it to understand how price has mitigated, moved, and broken can help you anticipate years ahead what price is attempting to do and where it's attempting to aim for. And that understanding in itself can boil down to 1 minute and even 30-second, even 15-second price action, right? It's not like I just look at a 1 hour and decide my 15-second or 5-second. You can do that and it will work, but you have to understand that there is a cause and effect for everything that occurs. And how price wants to get to those zones is seen to its like very fractal lowest time frame that you can get to, right? GA. Yeah, we'll look at GA in a sec. If I have a sec, if I have some time and people are still here and interested. Seems like everyone's still here, so we're good. Please don't forget to explain the hidden demand supply. So we went over that a little bit. Hopefully that helped a lot of you out. Great question. Let's see what this was. How can we predict which S&D zones are going to be tested after Wyckoff is formed on POI? Again, backtesting video will help a lot with that. I'll make another backtesting video down the line for you guys, so you can again take a look at how exactly we do that. But you never know exactly which S&D zone is going to hold. If you're scared about taking a higher one or multiple, you can take the most aggressive one that's super like the lowest one that it can possibly hit, or you can take the mentfx block and sacrifice RR, or you can take multiple, right, and split up your positions. All of those are very valid because, again, you don't know which exact POI it wants to go to. You don't know exactly how deep it wants to retrace, and you don't know exactly where most of the orders on behalf of smart money are stored, right? We can only anticipate. Where are we journaling? Yeah, so just the drive. If you just go to drive.google.com, it can go in there. Makes sense. Okay, nice. So this was just on the markups. It's pretty sick. Sweet. Those hidden POIs are just DBD and RBR. Yeah, I guess they are. I didn't know that, to be honest. But it's something that you can utilize. I don't utilize it as much, and I won't, just because I know that I can use the last down move before the up move and the up move before the down move. However, I'm going to have an eye on them, because if they are to be like worthwhile, then why not add them into a solid strategy, right? Can you go into your Excel? Oh, nice. Yes, you saw that. How can we predict which S&D zones are going to be tested after Wyckoff? So we touched on that. The journal name. Thanks. New this week, so maybe I missed this. Why did you change from EU to gold? I want to trade a lot more on my personal, and because gold moves technically more pips, if you think about it that way, than anything else, the lot sizes that you use to risk on literally like the same moves are less, which means that I pay less in commissions to trade them, right? So hopefully that made some sense to you. So like an EU, right? A normal thing on EU would be like a 5 pip stop, but a 5 pip stop on EU transfers to gold to be about 15 pips, right? Because gold moves so much more. So that 15 pips allows me to risk the same amount, but on less of a lot size, which means I pay less for round trip on a trade. Okay, so hopefully that makes some sense. AU was actually very simple. I think I had something on it, so we can actually just open that up and you can just take a look at what I had. Forex.com, I think. No, is it not on this? Was it on the other one? FXCM. There we go. Holy shit, I got a lot of arrows, eh? I think I was explaining something to someone at some point. But overall, I was expecting prices to tap into these zones. I had a buy here earlier. That one went to shit. And then we had this beautiful zone that had beautiful Wyckoff and beautiful Wyckoff inside it. Perfect test, continued lower. Looking for buys from this whole zone. As you can see, it was a larger, not even a mentfx block. It was this mentfx block here. But I used the inefficiency on a higher time frame to enter it. So the entry was based on just the fill of it, which happened perfectly with the low just below here, right? So this is an idea of, instead of using this for entry or this for entry, you use an entire area for entry and stick your SL just below it. And I'm actually expecting this, I think, yeah, to go way higher up into the 0.78s, 0.79s, 0.79 zones. I was looking for sells from here, but it never gave any opportunity, just continued higher. Looking for it to come here now, and more likely to not fill this higher inefficiency. I think that was on a daily or a weekly. Can find out really quick. Let's see where it is. Yeah, so you can see that inefficiency right there. So that's where I'm overall aiming for it to come, especially with this last up move before the down move that took out liquidity. Good expectation to see it come into there before continuing lower. So again, same thing as appears EU and GU, right? Looking for those buys into those sells that will continue that lower time frame action to come and find inefficiencies here. And again, as that is delivered to us, if it is delivered to us, we become involved on those on the way down. Okay, so hopefully that makes some sense to you. Let's go look at some other stuff. No fucking clue. I paper traded Doge and it's running like 1 to 20. Completion is at 1 to 80. Beautiful. Nice job, man. Can you look at GME, please? I actually had something on GME, so that's funny, but yeah, sure. And again, this is an example of the fact that everything, literally everything moves the exact same way. Oh no, did I delete it? Oh, that's so sad. I had a beautiful markup on it too. Damn, it's not available anymore. Yeah, I was showing somebody something about it yesterday, but overall there was a buy that I sent to my friend because, you know, I'm just not sure about GME too much, but there was a buy right here of this accumulation, which came to tap into some of the zones here. So you guys will have to go and study that if you want to, but it came to tap some of the zones here. And as you can see, I actually got tricked out by this move initially. I wanted to take a buy here, and that was just shit. And by the way, I didn't trade any GME, but I did send it out to my buddies, and this one went to shit. But then after this one, and we began to shift, I saw this was the original buy, but I don't want to say that too. But when we saw this validation, and I saw this last low, that's where I said, yo, like, that's some good shit, you should get in. And then like, what is it? It's like an hour later, we just had the huge markup. And of course, you'd be partialing along the way, targeted perfectly to the equal highs. I would probably partial right here as well, right? Partial, lock in, break even, or even the lows here. And as you can see, it's more likely than not just accumulating again, and we'll look for the continuations on GME. Nothing different there. Overall, just we're expecting it to come lower. And now there are some lower areas here that I actually wanted to see it come into. I think it was on a 4-hour. Let's see. Yeah, so there it is. So there's actually this 4-hour down move before the up move right here. Right, that's where I wanted to see price come. I was okay with this because, you know, that functions as a lower time frame mentfx block, but we could easily also see prices do something like that. Okay, but on GME, still bullish, nothing crazy. And even though all this price action looked insane, right, if you actually go back and just follow it, you'll see the exact same things we speak about always. Like, check this out, because I was looking at this with somebody else earlier, but check this out. So price marks up, right? Highs liquidated, break structure. Where does it go? Last up move before the down move, right? Now what's inside here? Watch this, right? Again, ask yourself how price move, and then ask yourself how you could be involved, right? Highs liquidated, price begins to break, breaking structure. Where does it come up to? The last up move before the down move, right? Did it actually touch it? Let's see if we use the wick, right? There you go. And again, it's a stock, it's GameStop, and all of a sudden it's reacting perfectly. Now, if you don't want to use that and maybe use this overall ment block as an area to look for entries, right? Let's take a look at what occurred inside of here. Let's go to the 1 minute. Oh no, I froze my computer again. Oh, we can't even go that far back. Nice. Let's go to 5 minute then. Fuck it. Let's go find it. Where is it? Back here. Right, so you look inside that area, what do you see? Highs liquidated, begins to shift down, take the mentfx block, comes into the mentfx block finally, right? What makes this low? Wait for it to be broken, right? Let's see. Does it break here? I think it does. Hold on. Just draw a line out. Okay, so it breaks right there. So you're valid to go with this. I know this might come and take it out, but under mentfx block ideas, this is valid for me. Comes in. Does it take it out? No. There you go. Double mentfx block confirmation. GameStop running perfectly, right? Nothing insane. Just using double mentfx block, entering the open or the 50%, right? If you went even lower, take a look at the fractals in here. On a lower time frame, you're going to see the buying climax. AR, ST, UT, the breakdown, the test of the last mentfx block, or the breakdown, a new mentfx block, and the test of it right there at the wick. You see that? The double mentfx block confirmation inside of right there. Again, same thing across any market, any day, any time, any session, all the fun stuff, right? So does this kind of make sense to you guys on the double mentfx blocks? I know we speak about mentfx blocks a lot, but hopefully that makes some sense. Do you manage risk when buying Doge? How do you manage risk when buying Doge? I don't buy Doge. I think hopefully that's for somebody else. I think that smart money are not the ones who are controlling GME at the moment. They are. Right, so what's funny is you have to think about smart money as an entity, not as a hedge fund. Hedge funds get liquidated all the time by the composite man as well. Okay, the composite man operates on his own fucking terms. The composite man is not institutions. He is not a hedge fund. He's none of that stuff. When Melvin or whatever, I think it's Melvin, right, got liquidated, it's because the composite man knew how much money he could make from liquidating them. And he still, same way, underwent everything that we notice in every single market. Fractal distributions, double mentfx blocks, whatever you call them, before prices actually broke down into the distributions. And again, even though price action looked insane, the movements were perfect to fill in last areas, were perfect under distributions, perfect to fill last areas, and the breakdowns, right? The same thing over and over. Let's take a look at what else we have in here, just so I can take a look. Make sure I didn't miss anything crazy. Give me a second, guys. Holy shit. Where were we? For scalping, what time frame would you look for? Oh yeah, so I think I kind of went over the scalping. We don't really scalp. We're all Neo or we're the agents because we know about the Matrix. Yeah, there you go. Go through the content, it will all click exactly. So you have to not only go to the content but also test it, but definitely work through the content. Very important. I think smart money plays better on crypto. It plays the same way absolutely everywhere. It just is going to be more there's gonna be more gaps in it if you're looking at something that's more illiquid or something that does not trade 24/7, like a stock, right? Who here swing trades? I don't know, but again, swing trading is the same thing. If you look at the backtesting video, it's pretty much even longer than swing trading. It's more like position trading, and it's based on just monthly and daily chart to show you that the exact same concepts apply across. He's messing with my brain, guys. Gonna have nightmares about how scalping don't exist. Sorry, dude. They've been watching Swaggy P. All I know is avoid Astro, ain't no value in their courses. Alright, we don't talk shit about other people, it's all good. A guy who trades quarter level theory, he's really good. I mean, yeah, the reason quarter level theory works is for the same reason that some retail works. Again, you know, you put a line anywhere on the chart, you're gonna see it hold eventually, right? And if you want to become a trader, it's like, check this out, okay? Let's go GA, just because I know a lot of you are looking at GA right now, and I haven't looked at it in super long. Let's go to a 1 hour chart. Okay, let's just auto this. Let's just go back in time, and let's do this. Ready? Not even quarter levels. Let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. What we're gonna do is we're gonna look for Wyckoff confirmation to every single one of these points. Okay. Price comes up towards it, kind of just goes up, doesn't really create any Wyckoff, right? Let's see if it accumulates maybe. So it looks like it begins to distribute. Okay, cool. Distributes. Maybe breaks down, so maybe we like this distribution from this quarter level, whatever you want to call it. Let's look for sells, you know, here or here, right? You can see the sells right here, came to partial perfectly, then broke even, right? That's off your first random area. They gave you some kind of distribution at a level that we just drew in, right? You guys understand how that works? Any theory can work. Any support resistance line will work. It's just much harder to ascertain what you should expect. Literally go draw any line on and then watch for Wyckoff at that line. If you see it, there you go. Take a look again. Market looks like it distributes, breaks down. Again, you can look for sells. Maybe let's just go mentfx block. Just sell here at the open. Let's see if it gets here and sells down. Comes into it. Okay, finally takes it out. Looks like it's distributing. Again, breaking down. Again, sells at these points. Again, like I don't know if these are going to hold because these are just random areas, but sells up here. Wherever you want. See, makes its way back up. Doesn't tap it as well. Accumulates at this zone, begins to test it, comes up, begins to distribute. You know, like the point is, if you have random lines drawn in, quarter theory, whatever kind of theory you want to use, you're gonna have some kind of reactions at them no matter what. I mean, just take a look at how these lines were drawn in and take a look at the reactions at them, right? There are reactions at every single one of these lines that you can technically say were either false breaks or beautiful, as you can see. Resistance, I mean support, finally broke down, support, broke down, tested it one more time, broke down, right? I mean, go draw in random lines and look at how that works. That's why, you know, if you have a system where you just draw lines in, it's gonna work too. It's perfectly fine. I think that smart money are not controlling GME, so hopefully my little explanation made sense to you. I do think that they are. You have to always consider the fact that the comps demand is not Melvin, right? Smart money is just people, psychology playing out versus an actually hedge fund. Yeah, pretty much, exactly. Pivot points, yeah, pivot points is the same thing. I mean, like, I know a trader that trades smart money at pivot points. He'll literally watch a pivot point from the previous day, and if he sees a manipulation at that pivot point and a continuation, he'll buy it, and it'll work, right? And that's fine. That's another way to trade, right? There's so many ways to trade these concepts, to add in random things to them. I know one guy that uses the Arun indicator. So if you guys know the Arun indicator, it's just like an up and down type of thing, something like that. And what he'll do is he'll have a middle line through it, and on the weekly, if it crosses above, he'll only be bullish on the market on the lower time frames. So on the weekly, he'll be like, okay, I'm bullish, and he'll go on to the lower time frames, and if he sees Wyckoff accumulations, he'll get in on the bullish play, right? Using an indicator now, right? Some other people, even in this mentorship, will have a moving average to determine their higher time frame bias, and then use Wyckoff formations that tap into, let's say, the moving averages. I don't know. I'm just making shit up right now. But what's funny is, you know, all of it can work. It's the question about how you're going to employ it, right? So we're kind of rounding out to a close. Let's take a look at GA for the crazy people that are looking at GA. Oh, we're on GA right now. Okay, sweet. Delete all this shit, and let's look at it from a higher time frame first. Let's go to a weekly. Why not? Go take a look at what's going on here. Oh, it's so ugly. Why do you guys even want to trade this? I don't get it. Let's go monthly. Let's just take a look at this. Okay. Inefficiencies that want to be filled. Just tapped into and grabbed the liquidity here. Tapped into some mentfx block or something up here. Coming down to run liquidity, running liquidity. Nothing to really aim for except for this thing all the way down here. Really nothing on the higher time frames, but that's fine. No big deal. More likely than not, you know, normal things like this is fine to expect. Keep looking at this. Let's go daily. Take a look at the daily. So again, we could maybe get up there. Some kind of random accumulation played out here. Taking out lows, breaking higher. Coming to test the demand zones in here. Playing out higher. Demand zones, playing out higher. Tapping into them. So right now, we're tapping into the demand zones here, as you can see, quite perfectly. So the expectation right now would be to see the buys up into here. Or to see the buys up into some of the stuff in here, right? For this. Overall, just kind of, it looks like it wants to be bearish, but especially after this distribution, okay? It's breaking down now. We can see the bullish signs here. Otherwise, if it does begin to break down, I don't really want to look at anything in here. It's just not clean enough for me, right? And if you're using mentfx blocks, again, you can ask yourself multiple questions about how it's moving. Mentfx block, potentially use this one, right? And that's where it broke. So now you're maybe looking for the test of this new one. Keep going. And if you get a double one, then you know exactly what you're going to start looking for, right? Do you think beat the market maker method would work with Wyckoff? I have no idea what that is. I've had some people bring it up. I've had lots of people say that it doesn't work and stuff like that. I'm not going to talk shit on other programs. I don't know what it even is. But like I said, anything can work with Wyckoff. But if you're going to trade Wyckoff and you're going to use it as a confirmation, why not do it with something that is actually rooted in the principles of what Wyckoff should be, which is that mitigation of orders, the transfer of hands at areas that make sense institutionally with order flow, right? So within structure. Again, looking at this, we can now get a little lower since a lot of you are watching it, most likely. You do have the accumulation here, definitely. And prices just have taken off, which is kind of nice because we've left behind a lot of areas, right? Such as this one as a POI and this one right here, right? Both are great POIs. Expectation can literally be fine to see something like this. I'm just going to put it in the middle because I don't want to draw both lines in. We get rid of this one, which means that now we can be ready to look for counter trend trades. Sells here, right? It doesn't have to come sell right now. It can easily go right and then come all the way back down if it wants to, right? It can do it over a long time. However, if we are to see the lower time frame setups slowly, then we can begin to get involved in them. Like right here, we're beginning to see the transfer of all that occurring. The tests, this was actually a great solve to mentfx block, but now we're having another mentfx block, right? Here's your mentfx block. Here's another one forming, and the liquidation of this one will actually enact the double mentfx block rule. And in this case, under perspective-based trading, I like the sells from here. Okay. And again, you manage that, right? So partial, also not only partial, but also trail, maybe partial, and partial completion, right? You guys, for GA, everyone cool with that? Makes sense? You have a wide ass monitor, lol. Yeah, I do. All right, makes sense. Beautiful. Good. Anton, I've been backtesting again this weekend. A little strategy that I think might work for me. The win rate is a bit poor, but the RR was plus 20.18 over 5 trading days. That's amazing. Do you think that's an okay RR? Do I think that's okay? Bro, this is a lifetime for retail traders, and they are successful. So yes, plus 20 RR in 5 days is absolutely phenomenal. If that is consistent, then by all means send it. I'm not going to decipher what's actually going on here. But if this is all back tested without seeing price, actually play out, and you're actually managing them fine, then it's fantastic. Win rate does not matter. When people ask me about win rate, I literally don't say shit because it's so hard to explain win rate to someone that doesn't understand the point of a fractal market and the way you can get RRs, basically, right? Top 2 books you can recommend regarding Wyckoff from reading yourself. Right now, I've really only read one Wyckoff book to date, and I'm still reading it. It's called the fuck is it called? Live studies in tape reading, I think. Is this one. Live studies in tape reading. Oh, studies in tape reading. Studies in tape reading. It's by Wyckoff. Like the guy, you know, the guy that actually invented this shit. You know, I think that if you're going to read about Wyckoff, you should read it from the guy that actually invented it. So, but it's a lot more about stocks and stuff like that. But there is some psychological elements which are very helpful. A lot of my Wyckoff knowledge comes from my own experience, my own learning, and reading some Wyckoff like knowledge online, but not in depth. I haven't even read the PDF book available in the Discord for everybody. So that's my top one right now because I'm reading it, but it's definitely very old and outdated because it was during a time where you'd have to call like the broker and say, okay, I want to buy at this level, and you know there'd be like time delay before you could even buy because you know they have to do it all manually and shit like that. So it's very interesting, but it gives you a very nice play on psychology and helps you understand that. I swear everything that Antoine explains is full of goddamn value. Thank you. I appreciate that, Arnold. I need to forward test it to see if it really works, but I'll let you know. Fantastic, Jay. But yeah, like 20 hour in 5 days is phenomenal. Are you kidding me? Like, that's amazing. ICC said that Wyckoff will end soon. What do you think? That will never be the case because, again, read the thing I left in this right here. The reason Wyckoff works, the reason what we do works is because it's based in the idea that other people are being taken out of the market. Okay, it's literally based in that. I'm not gonna talk about other people's stuff, but when other people trade smart money, they are trading Wyckoff a lot of time without knowing it. Is all you need to understand. When they look at breaks, when they look at grabs of liquidity, that is nothing more than a snowflake setup of Wyckoff, and in many cases, it's just retests of supply and demand zones created by the institutions that grab people out of the market and quite literally liquidate them. So, I mean, we don't care what other people say here. I'm not going to talk about other people, like I said, but, you know, just test it and you'll see. Do you know what is QM and Diamond chart pattern? If yes, how would you explain Wyckoff and Diamond? I do not trade chart patterns. I do not trade retail patterns. So, no, don't. We're not going to read that one. How do you view lower time frame order flow structure, considering it breaks a lot easier on smaller time frames? I become involved on all of it and manage my positions, understanding that price does not have to retrace or doesn't have to move from the first break of a lower time frame structure. Or I employ the rule of 30 to use a higher time frame to confirm. Wyckoff will end soon. Yeah, that's just funny. If you think so, I mean, go back to channels. and trend lines. I'm sure it'll be really fun. Fine stock, zero value market. Before you go, do you have any videos going over how to properly partial, not in terms of areas, but how much percent to lock in? I lock 50% every time I partial. There it is. We spilled the beans. All right, well, I think we got through everything I wanted to get through this week. Some psychology videos. Don't revenge trade. Don't FOMO yourself into trades. Wait for your setups and write out your rules for entry. What's the rule of 30? It's a public video that's available on YouTube and also in the previous webinar, I believe we went over it. So make sure you check that out. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording now.